months. Now, the first book I read by Marlon James was his first one.
Hello guys, it is Friday night. I'm so excited. So this is really my only time to chill because I am working all day Saturday, like for real, like 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. And then I have a 45-minute drive home and all day on Sunday. But yeah, I'm gonna make the, oh, there's a really weird shadow. I apologize. Oh my gosh, I can't even. Anyway, I'm gonna make the best of tonight. I just finished watching Didi's video with her favorite books of the year. The lighting is weird everywhere apparently. And I do own one book that was on that list, How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbue. I got this because Heather recommended it, and then for Didi to also have it on the top of her list, like, yes, this is moving up towards the top of my list for what I want to read. However, here are my plans for tonight. I am so close to finishing The Priory of the Orange Tree. It is such a beast. Oh my gosh. I just want to get this done with. I am having such a blast reading it, but it's just like so big and so intimidating, and I've been reading it for so long, and I just want to be free to read whatever the crap I want. So I'm going to try and finish it tonight. I think I only have like 150 pages left. I'm not really sure. And then as a treat, like my dessert for eating my vegetables, so to say, I am going to be reading The House of Eve, which I got in the mail today. I know it's bad that I bought this, but honestly, I've been doing really, really well not buying books this year. I also just submitted my taxes today, and it's very funny to see like the business expenses, because I had them prepared for me. Like I just turned in all my paperwork and someone else did them for me. And so it lists like 3 business expenses: book purchases, my internet, and then I think the other one was my subscription for like the music that I put on my videos, and the book subscription. It was so bad, or not the book subscription, just the book, like book purchases in general were so horrible. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Anyway, so yeah, that's my plan for tonight, is to finish Priory of the Orange Tree and then read The House of Eve, and then soonish on my list will be How Beautiful We Were, but I probably will not be able to get to it this weekend. The end is in sight. I got ready for work as fast as I could today because I need to read this before I go to work. Like, it is so good. Last night, I basically read it until way past my bedtime, but I was also conscious of the fact that I hadn't had good sleep in like a few days. So I did have to stop and go to bed. But had it been that I had good sleep a few nights before that or whatever, I would have just like laid in bed and finished this. So anyway, I only have 25 minutes till I have to go to work, but reading this will be definitely part of that. I'm wasting no time. So today I'm working this program called Coffee with the Birds, and originally when I saw that on the schedule, I was like, hell to the no. Like, I do not know birds. Like, I am increasingly able to identify more and more as I work at the nature center, but I don't know squat. And so I put it on the drop list. I was like, I don't think this is a good fit for me. Here is a list of the birds I know. Like, I can legit make a list because I know so few. And my boss emailed me back and she was like, I was about to tell you that like that the presenter is going to be out of town and you legit have to present. She's like, just kidding though, like you just need to work the front desk. Okay, I got that. I can work the front desk during a bird program.
So I may have to find, and I want to thank you for coming. Really excited to have you here. It doesn't feel like February. Well, it's cold.
Hello everyone, it is 10 o'clock at night and I have just worked 13 hours at the nature center, but I need to tell you about the book that I finished today and that I practically started today. I started it last night before bed. I stayed up super late reading it and finished in all my spare moments today. It is The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. Sadiqa is also the author of Yellow Wife, and basically that's how I initially heard about this book, because my pal Didi loves Yellow Wife and I have yet to read it. But basically, when I heard that the author of Yellow Wife was coming out with a new book, I was like, I must get this. And I am so glad I did. So this is dual perspective, like a dual perspective novel, historical fiction. It basically tells the story of two girls / women, and it alternates perspectives between them. The first one is Ruby. She was my initial favorite in the beginning. Basically, she is a low-income black girl. She is, I believe, a sophomore in high school when the book starts. And she is just doing everything she can to earn this scholarship that will allow her to go to college, because otherwise there's no way, no matter how much she works, like, it's not happening. It is like just way above her, like what she can manage basically without this scholarship. And our other girl, her name is Eleanor, and she is already in college. She goes to Howard University. She is much more affluent, but she still is like one of the lower income girls in her circle. She just is, you know, slightly more fortunate, I guess, that she has gotten into Howard. And she is trying to get into a sorority, which is why I didn't really like her that much in the beginning. However, she did grow on me. I just felt like at the beginning she was kind of petty and like striving for things that weren't as important. Like this one girl is striving, Ruby is trying to get into like college and just like has all these ambitions for her life, and then this Yahoo Eleanor just wants to get into a sorority. I can tell you a bit more about the plot, but it's really just like you are so invested in the characters, and I'm not someone that typically gets super invested in characters. I tend to be more of a plot driven person, but oh my gosh, they go through so much that just made me want to like swear at the people they interacted with and throw the book against the wall and like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so their stories are parallel in some ways just because they both end up in relationships where there's a lot of drama surrounding the relationship, like the people that they choose, like that couple is solid and like in love and all that stuff, but all the people around them have some kind of judgment and some kind of opinions about if they should be together and why one shouldn't be with the other and blah blah blah. And it's just like all these people are all up in their business. And yeah, so in that way, their stories were very similar. As far as themes, there's a lot I feel like you could discuss. This would be a really good book club book. One of the major things is colorism and just the idea that possibly people with lighter skin tones do better in life. And like, there's also the idea of like goal setting and like what would you do to accomplish your goals, like how far would you go to accomplish them, and the colorism and stuff like that kind of intertwines with, you know, that idea of just being successful and being driven and what goals you want to achieve and all that sort of stuff. There's also the idea of power and who holds the power. And then finally the idea of like family and found family and like just defining like what is a family and yeah. Hey everyone. Okay, so it is Sunday morning. I have to go to work. But before that, I'm going to church. And I just want to say I was realizing how I kind of love wearing my uniform to church because I look like a freaking worker. Like, this is the nerdiest outfit. I do not love this at all. But the church I go to, which I love, by the way, so this is not a put down at all, but it is just so drenched in money and rich people. And there are times when I feel I don't belong because I can't afford like a $50 ticket to a charity event, or I don't know, everyone has homes and I live in an apartment, and everyone works one job and I work like 50 jobs, and all of their homes are like luxury homes, and you follow them on Facebook and they're eating at all these like super expensive restaurants and going skiing and doing all these things that I am not able to do at this point in my life. And so part of me, and first of all, I should tell you that I realize how privileged I am. Like, when I interact with an international community, I realize like all of the things I have and all the luxuries I have and all the privilege I have, and just how lucky I am to have the full-time job I have, the benefits I have, and then the extra gigs that I have the opportunity to work. So I feel super lucky, but I think that just when I come to church and I'm wearing a uniform, it just makes me feel like it is okay to be a worker. Like, it is okay to do a worker sort of job, like a blue collar job. And I will come to work, or I'll come to church, and then I'll do my job afterwards. And like, yeah, anyway, it just is like, I like exposing people, I guess, to other ways of life that are different than theirs. But what I wanted to quickly talk about today is not that, but it is a thought that, you know, when sometimes you're just waking up or you're in the shower, you're doing something, you have all these genius thoughts. Here's my thought. The whole month of January, I have been reading this beast. Now, I have been reading it with Andy Hart's books. She's on Instagram. I will link her below. Freaking love that woman. Okay? She's quality. We're actually doing a buddy read together in a few weeks. So, yes, but I am not into big books. This book was a struggle bus for me the entire time. And I don't think I talked about it, so I will insert a clip later of me like describing my thoughts on it. But while I was reading this, I didn't really read anything else. Like, I was in a slump because I felt like this was hanging over my head, that I had to read this, and I don't know, just that I couldn't feel the progress of reading this, because, you know, you just read a section and you like have been reading for years and you're still like right there at the beginning. But I realized that when I read loads of small books, I get more pages done in a week than if I would have read one big book. I think that I need that gratification of finishing books. So since I finished this on Friday, which I read a lot of it to like get done with it, then I read and finished this on Saturday, which is like, looks like 362 pages. And now I have started this, How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbui. And so like, I'm reading loads of pages. Like, when in a previous week did I read 362 pages? And not like that's a lot, but just like when the book is small, I am motivated to get to the end. And when it is a giant thing, I'm gonna use nice words, it just like stalls me. It makes me feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And it also made me feel stupid because it was a lot to read. It was very complex, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. So yeah, what I'm trying to read today, and I do have to work all day, but I think I'll have some time in the evening to read, is How Beautiful We Were by Mbolo Mbui. this book is really good so far already. So I heard about this book from Heather from Soggy Expat Book Nerd. I think she read it for one of the BookTube prize things. And then just recently, Didi from Brown Girl Reading posted her favorite books of the year, like finally, but she was sick. And also, I don't care. Get it out when you get it out. I am here for it and I will just soak it up. She also put this on her favorite books of the year. So I was like, all right, but it's really good already. And I'm only on page 10 with the bookmark that Sarah got me. But anyway, basically it's about this village and this oil company has come in, although I think I only know it's an oil company from the back of the book. They haven't actually called it, they've called it by the corporation's name, not by what it does. But I knew that it was going to be about like this company coming in to get resources and that it was hurting the people in the community. That's what I knew going in, but I didn't realize how significant these people are hurting. Like, people are not just like getting cancer or getting weird symptoms. Like, they're dying. Like, people have been dying. Like, loads of people. Like, just like children have been dying, and they're talking about how children's bodies are more susceptible to this, and like all sorts of stuff. So page 10 and it's already really good. Yeah, I'm just curious, like basically they're having meetings with this corporation every 8 weeks, and they're voicing their concerns to the corporation, and the corporation is being like, I hear your concerns. I will definitely talk to someone at corporate and communicate those concerns. This is not okay. Things will be done. And then they go back 8 weeks later and it's the exact same thing. Like, it's just like a fake listening. And so I'm just curious, like, where this is gonna go. Like at what point are you just done? And how can they gain power to be able to do something? Like, I am super curious about this. So yeah, I think I don't know what time it is. I think I still have a bit of time until I need to leave for church and work. So I will be reading this a little bit this morning, and then I don't take breaks at work because I would like to make money. So I will be reading this again in the evening. I don't know if I'll finish today or not, but I just know that because it's short, I will be motivated to make progress, and also because it's super good. So there's that. That's a weird glitch in my brain that I just realized today. Just got out of church and now I'm like dashing to work. But hang on, I want to show you something. Craziest house. Like, someone actually lives there. I think that house is so crazy. Hello. Okay. It is Sunday night. I've just gotten back from work. The Super Bowl starts in like 15 minutes, but am I watching it? Psh, no. I'm eating tacos, drinking Mexican Coke, and I'm gonna talk books with you. So at work, I finished Cosmic Queries, which is by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I just have a bunch of random thoughts on this, so I figured it would be perfect for like a little fact munching, because essentially this book is about outer space, as you can see. And okay, it was a mixture of 3 things for me. 1, I understood it. Okay, there's that. Second of all, there were other parts that I did not understand because they were too science-y for me, and I just don't have that much of a science background, which is mainly because I never really had a science teacher that I found to convey the material in a very interesting way. However, now that I'm a grown person, I realize I love science, like in real life, just not science in school. And then thirdly, there were parts that I could not understand, not because they weren't well explained or well written, but because they are so mind-boggling that my brain could not stretch around them. So what I have to show you is basically the parts that I did understand, intermittently explained, with tacos on the other side. So it's like a sandwich, like a fact sandwich with taco, interesting fact, taco, interesting fact taco. I needed a napkin. Okay. So first of all, before I get into this book, we have this group near us called the Shoreline Amateur Shoreline Amateur Astronomical Association. And basically at the Nature Center, we have this new observatory. However, we don't know anything about telescopes and stuff, so they are the ones that are in charge of the telescope. And then every single Friday, they open it up to the public, and people can like be there and view stars with them and such things. And then once a month, they have an hour-long program where you learn about something, and then they bring you to the observatory and you can look at stuff. So last night I worked the event and we learned about Artemis 2 and its mission to the moon. And then they opened the observatory and we could look at stuff. And so it was really cool last night. From the legit telescope, I was able to view the Andromeda. Wait, that's not what it's called. Andromeda galaxy. That was like so epically amazing to view another galaxy. And so I just did a little bit of research on it because I didn't realize you could like see it. Apparently you can see it with the naked eye if you know what you're looking for, but it was really cool to see it in the telescope. It is 2.537 million light years away from Earth. It's just incredible. It is actually moving towards us. We are moving towards it. We are moving towards one another at a rate of 68 miles per second. That's super fast. And in 4 to 5 billion years, we will collide and form one massive like super galaxy. So that was random. So anyway, yeah, that was cool to see last night. And then they also had binoculars so that we could look for this comet that is currently by Mars, or was by Mars. However, the problem is that they told me to look for something red in the sky, and literally all the stars were like a yellowish white to me. Like they just looked like stars. I didn't see anything red. So I looked through the binoculars, but I just saw stars. I had no idea what I was looking at. Maybe I saw the comet, but I just didn't know. And then there's also a guy with like his telescope, which I'm sure is also very impressive. But I don't know what we looked through what we looked at through that. I can't remember. Basically, it was something blurry. Okay, so let me have more taco and then I'll tell you what I learned in this book. Okay, some things I learned. First of all, I mentioned this before, but I had no idea that this whole myth that people thought the earth was flat, that's completely ridiculous. Like, people have known, like, before Jesus, basically, or before the Christian era, that the world was round. So that's a bunch of crap, okay? Second of all, the phases of matter. As a kid, I learned solid, liquid, gas. Oh no, did you know there are more? Plasma is the fourth one, which I didn't know, okay? And so I'm like, wow, like mind blown. There are 4 phases of matter. Oh no. There are way more than that. So I did a little research. I really have nothing to tell you other than that there are loads of types of matter. One of them was like a super fluid or a super liquid or something. It was like a more slippery liquid. I don't know. Anyway, it was really interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. Then I learned more about dark matter, which I've heard before, dark matter, but I really had no idea what it was. And turns out no one else knows what it is either, but it's more similar to dark gravity, or they think that that's what the name should be. They think it's a better descriptor for what it is, which is basically like a gravitational force that can't be seen. They have no idea like what it is, but they notice its influence and its impact. Then the elements. I had no idea about the periodic table. Like, I know it's labeled by like number and the number of something in there. But I didn't realize that as you go from left to right, it gets like heavier. And then I didn't realize that as you go vertical in a column that they have similar characteristics or something like that. So that was interesting. Also, dimensions. It's a lot to process. So obviously we have 4 dimensions. We have like latitude, longitude, elevation, and time. So when we say something is 4D, that's what we're talking about. 3D is without the time. 4D adds in the time. But there's way more dimensions than that. And that was in the section about string theory, and I still don't really understand. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can only get to a certain part, and I'm like, okay, I understand there's more than 4 dimensions, and that's about as far as I can get. But it was talking about 10 dimensions, and I don't know if that means there are 10, or if that was just an example to mean that there's lots. I'm still uncertain. If you have any information on this, please fill me in. What else? Okay, then it talked about the second law of thermodynamics, which I thought was really interesting because it basically says that things, I'm sure that's a very scientific word, move from order to disorder. And I was just thinking that at a more micro level, as far as like our own lives, like, can you apply that to like a human lifespan or human life, or like, it's not intended to be applied in that way. I think it's talking about matter, but it still is interesting to me to think about. Okay, then we get to all the questions about life, right? So the book talks about basically how life started here, and it gives this really, really interesting couple pages where it talks about like the order that things happened and basically what happened, and it gives the timeline, and I just thought that was super interesting. But one of the ideas is that human life came from the ocean. Cool idea, right? And I feel like I've heard that before, but that basically it was seeded through amino acids that came to Earth on meteorites. How incredible is that? Like, I just think it's really interesting. They're just amino acids that made our planet. Okay. And then Antarctica is actually a really good place to study this and learn more about it, because the meteorites that come to Earth, they're easily seen when they're on Antarctica, because basically like it's just snow, and so you can see like a rock situation more easily. And then also it's like there's not really loads of people on Antarctica, so it just makes it like preserved and like untouched so that scientists can study it. I thought that was super cool as well. And then like when you think about life on Earth, oftentimes you think about like maybe we started as like bacteria or single-celled organisms or whatever, but there's this thing called a tardigrade, and I should find the picture of it in a second because it looks like an alien. And so yeah, I think that's interesting that like we have all these ideas of like green little aliens and stuff, but like if you zoom in on this teeny tiny like object, like to me it looks alienish, and it's right here on Earth anyway. But obviously when you talk about life, other places, a lot of the focus is on water, and this organism or whatever can survive without water for decades. Isn't that insane? Okay, here's the picture of that thing I was talking about. I mean, it's kind of cute. Tolerating extreme conditions such as frozen polar lakes, boiling hot deep sea vents, and even high doses of radiation. Tardigrades have broadened our definition of life on Earth and diversified our search for life forms on other planets. Okay, so then we get to the last thing I want to talk about, which is life on other planets. And while I'm reading this book at my job, all of a sudden, I get an email notification from the New York Times that another unidentified object has been shot down, and this time it's over Michigan. And previously they're saying that it was like Chinese spy something, like spy balloons or something. But now they're just saying unidentified objects. So I'm just saying, my imagination is going wild. Okay. So there are 5 main things I want to talk about this whole life on other planets situation that this book discussed. So first of all, it says that we kind of rank things as plants or animals. And that binary of being like a plant or an animal is not very helpful when we're trying to possibly find stuff on other planets. Like, we're narrowing our vision of what is life and our definition of it into like 2 categories, when there's actually loads of other stuff. Like, even on our own planet, there are things that are not plants and not animals, but they are living. So there's that. Second of all, we are so focused on life that is carbon-based, and I don't 100% understand what I mean by that, but I know, like, we know all this stuff with carbon dating and all this stuff, and they're saying that there's a possibility that life other places could not be carbon-based, but could be silicone-based, and that's not super likely, but, like, it's a possibility. So, again, we're looking at this narrow point of, like, what life is, when we could be broadening our narrow mindset. Third, we are so focused on water being a liquid that we need, that sustains us, but it's possible that different life could live in different liquids, and that water might not be the only like necessity of life or something like that. Especially if like we broaden our search into life that might not be human, you know, like there's other life forms that might be able to survive in other liquids. And then, fourth of all is not really a thing you say, I apologize. We think about our Earth as it is now, and we talk about what it's like now and how it can sustain life now in this moment. But the truth is that we are just this tiny little blip in history within the history of our Earth. And at other times, it looked different ways, and in the future, it's going to look different ways. And so, like, there are other planets that may look the way our Earth is going to look after humans, or that look the way that Earth did before humans. And so again, we're having this very narrow mindset, but there could be other places where Earth could come or has been, and we just have to broaden our search. And then finally, how we search. So right now, the main search method is through electromagnetic signals. And basically, Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying, like, okay, if that's what we're looking for, we wouldn't even be able to find ourselves on this planet except in this narrow time period, because like we as humans were here long before there were electromagnetic signals. Like that has been like such a tiny part of our human history here. And so yeah, I just found this whole book fascinating, and did not bother me at all that so much of it went over my head, because I think that's what makes space interesting, period. So I basically have a stack of like nature and science books that are work appropriate for me to read at work. And I have one more by him. I think it's just called Space Talk, and it looks super cool. It looks more like this is pretty linear, going through different topics that are all connected to like a larger topic. But that other one looks more like, you know, like when you were little and you'd get a kid's science book or something, like from like the book order or whatever, and they were just like random tidbit, random interesting fact. And they were just kind of, that's more what it looks like. So I'm curious to get to that. You guys, it's Thursday night. Tomorrow is our last day of school before winter break. And by winter break, I mean we have an entire week off. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get a snow day tomorrow. But basically, I'm just like waiting because loads of other schools have closed, but we have not. And not a lot in our county have closed, but in Kent and Ottawa County, loads and loads of schools have closed. Also, I got an Xbox controller today, so I am having fun with that. I have been obsessed with Cozy Grove, which is this game where essentially you are a scout on this haunted island, and you basically have to make the island nice, and you have to grow fruit, and you have to fish, and you have to help out all these ghosts that are like trapped on the island. And I was playing it on my phone and iPad for a bit. And then I realized that you can like get a controller and hook it up to your phone or your iPad or your Apple TV. So I've been playing it on Apple TV. It's so freaking fun. And then I just downloaded a bunch of other games, and I'm just gonna try to play games, which is not something I do. But yeah, I'm really hoping that I can just like sleep in tomorrow. Snow day! We got the voicemail. I'm so excited. So I started a new video game called Wildflower. I think it's about a witchy flower herb situation. So I'm gonna play that for a little bit and then go to bed. I'm pretty tired, and I should probably tell you what I read this week, but I think I will do that tomorrow in my vlog for next week. So heads up, next week, basically I have nothing going on besides a massage between Friday and Monday, so that will be nice. That'll have loads of reading time. Then I'm going on vacation for a bit, so next week I don't know if I'm gonna do a shelf life or if I'll do a separate vlog for each day of Vermont. I don't know, but basically I'm going to Vermont and it's gonna be epic, and I'm so grateful to have a week off of school. Like, I love my job so much, but dang, it's gonna be awesome. Just so nice to just be able to rest. Anyway, I hope you guys had an amazing week too. I'm gonna wrap this up and I will see you later.